Hey, welcome back to Made Up of Wires, where we're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Good to have you back. I think the stream is up 5x5 on Twitch and YouTube. And if you've watched for a while, haven't liked and subscribed, wouldn't mind if you do those things. I think on YouTube, we're almost to 1,500 subscribers. So let's cross that 1,500 threshold in the next week or so. That'd be cool. We're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and this project, I don't have the right window up, is run by Zynamo. I'm not him. Hey, does it? Good to have you back. You can see progress at soten.z.dev. Find link to GitHub, all the things that we've decompiled so far, as well as a link to Discord as well. We're working on Olrox and continuing there. I've been looking at some of the code here. I mentioned this earlier in the week, and I mentioned it yesterday, but then the stream failed. Looking at code that is in the Olrox boss fight file, but is not part of the Olrox boss fight. And I think my current theory is that because Olrox was an earlier boss, that potentially he was being built just into the NO2 stage. That's interesting for a couple reasons. First, we have a bunch of entities that are in NO2 that also exist in the compiled binary for Olrox, but are never used, as well as some other code related to that really doesn't have anything to do with the Olrox boss fight. But what I've been working on, started last night, and I think I'll try to finish off now, is that the marionette is in the Olrox boss fight file, but the marionette is not in Olrox quarters or in NO2. There is a what is that area called? Drat, I can't think of it. It's the area right before, maybe it's Marble Gallery that the marionette is in? Yeah, Marble Gallery sounds right, which is NO0, I believe, but not, oh yeah, NO0 is right there, right in my terminal, but is not in Olrox quarters. So we have a marionette for no good reason. And the other somewhat interesting thing is that a lot of this code looks relatively unchanged and compiles without any modifications. Marionette is a little different. I found a few differences, and we're going to look at some of those. Let's see if I can grab. I was doing this in a separate session. Let's see if I can grab those over, if they'll move over with me. I'm going to save these, and we'll see what we need to do to get there. There's a couple interesting things as well about the marionette. Is going to reload like I suspected. I'm a human today. Speaking of human today, if you're an Overwatch player, what do you think of Xian? Not human, for sure. I don't play damage often, but when I do, I don't know if Xian's going to be my style, but definitely interesting. I like the character design. So let's get into it. The other thing I did yesterday, and again, the stream failed. I spent some time earlier in the week looking at the Belmont's Curse release. If you're in the US, which I know some people aren't, which is totally fine, but if you're in the US and you want the physical copy, I always recommend getting a physical copy. We don't get anything. We don't get any goodies. That's always a bummer. So I feel like because physical copies are kind of on their way out and soon we won't have anything, it's nice when studios, especially with a 40th anniversary release like Belmont's Curse, when they include a few little things here and there, and it's not, I mean, they're just tchotchkes, but I like that kind of stuff. So I ended up pre-ordering from FNAC out of France. They still have steelbooks available, and you get at least one other physical bonus with the game. The biggest issue is whether or not the DLC codes can be redeemed in your local marketplace. I don't know if they will, but I usually don't redeem them anyway, so no skin off my back. I'll probably end up... I ordered the Switch version, which I don't know if I even intend on playing. I'll probably buy it digitally to play on the PlayStation. Or maybe Steam, we'll see. Alright, so we're working on... I keep meaning to put affiliate links, raise some cash from Belmont's Curse. If you haven't bought it yet and you're going to buy it from Amazon, just wait till next week and we'll make bank. So I took the Entity Marionette code. There's a few things that are a little different, and I'm not sure where or why some of these things are. The first is that we actually don't even need to do this, do we? We're looking at the einit value. Oh, einit is it's not a struct, it's a array of signed 16s. And we're grabbing the first value from that einit, but for Slinger and not for Marionette. I don't know why. That's strange to me. And then there weren't sound effect differences. I thought there was one other difference. We're going to try to integrate this. I need to get the data pulled in first. I don't know if the data is the same, and so we're going to try to figure that out. I also was hoping that this animation 12, that I would be able to move up one line, because then all of the animations would be together and the array of a handful of those animations would be at the end. That's how I would order things and would prefer to order them, but that didn't work either. And then we have the PSP version. The PSP version required the at least static declarations to work correctly. If we take out these declarations, we're going to get a ton of register changes, which is interesting because the PSP version is compiled with MetroWorks without optimization turned on. We don't see a lot of these tricks usually. We don't see a lot of outside the context of this function. Let's observe what we can use and what we can't use to try to reduce the number of registers that we have to push to the stack and other things. Or shuffling registers in a way that aren't going to overwrite return registers or argument registers. So when it comes up, it's usually unexpected and can be challenging to find. Fortunately, somebody had already done this file, so I could rely on the work of others. All right, so I don't know that the data is the same. We're going to need to know a few things, specifically which of these arrays are explicitly referenced. I know that 8 and 9, I think 8 is. Possibly all of them, yeah, 8 is. No, it's possibly all of them. Yeah, it is. So we're going to have to pull those in and probably map their values. Or we could wait. Let's just use their other values. So we can figure out what those variables are. I think that's what I'm going to do. We're going to go to where this animation is being used for 11. And we could do this two different ways. Our original assembly was using... We do have an issue here as well that I'll point out in a little bit. Our original assembly was using this value, and so I need to decide, do I want to... I think I'll map the symbol. And then we could create a new scratch in decomp.me with the updated symbols, make sure that we have everything correct. I think that's probably the best way to go before importing the data. Takes a little longer, but it will give me a little more confidence. I could just wing it, but I don't like going, it's a lot of work, and if you get something wrong, it's hard to debug. So we're going to be flipping back and forth between all these as we go through. Some of these may or may not be the same symbol already. In this case, it's something that's defined in this function, but we have the name here. We want to keep the same name that's in NO0. We can rename it to this, but some of these actually had a symbol named that already. So I think we're going to keep the current name. That may not be the right thing to do, but that's what I'm going to do for now. Oh, what happened here? Oh, look at this. My window? No, they changed decomp.me, updated the find replace. Interesting. Oh, I screwed this up already. This will make it a little easier to find where these are as well. Okay, so we have those in place, and then we have all these anims. Go find those. Carefully. And so on the side here, I'm going back and putting the anim address down at the bottom. This is going to be a little slow going, so bear with me, but we'll get through it. There is probably a slightly faster way to do this, and let's see if we can do it that way. So we want to know where this particular address is. We can look at the assembly data that gets disassembled for us, boss BO0 data, and we already have it mapped to the marionette, which is good. And so we'll pull that open, and F94 should be towards the top. It is. So we should be able to just go down one by one, grabbing these and adding them sequentially. And this will work until it doesn't, and then I'll curse that I chose this method. But I think it'll be fine, actually. We can spot check every once in a while by going back to the assembly. So I just did anim3, for example, looking at where anim3 is. It's down here on 113, just making sure that that's that 2000 address, and that's the one it was. So far, so good. I might choose one of the later ones, like anims, and do that one so that I can kind of work from both directions. I like doing that. I find that helpful. And when we want to, we can rerun make. It'll pick up that updated symbol table and regenerate this so that we can see those new symbols right in place like we want them to be. Coding's like dark magic. Good to have you, Ibram. Only dark because that's the color scheme that I chose. Can be as light as you want. So I'm happy to go over what we're looking at. So when you do a disassembly, you do a bunch of work up front to tell the disassembler what you think each of the parts of data in a file. If we look at what this looks like, especially if you love hex dumps and hexadecimal, we can look at the file as it is on the disk, and it's going to look like a bunch of gibberish, and it mostly is. And we just have data, lots of different data. But because we know certain things about the structure of this file, we can give that information to a tool called Splat and tell it where we think different data is and what file we want to associate with that data. RO data is just data that can't be changed. Where code is, it's called text in a binary, but Splat calls it C. BSS is uninitialized data. So we look at all the offsets in the file and determine where all these different things are. And then the disassembler will come through and try to separate those out into different chunks of data as they are referenced in the code sections that we've defined. And so yes, like getting to this point is not the most straightforward, but once you've gotten to this point, everything becomes a lot easier. And so now what we're doing is just giving names to each of those sections, because the default names, the automatically generated names, are based on the address that this will appear in memory in the game. And that's not fun. It's like if you had to remember everybody's phone number and you didn't have an address book. So we're just giving names. Is the SOTN code a little messy? It's better than I would expect. So a lot of things are, you have to give concessions for a bunch, because for many of the developers, this was probably their first time coding in C, game development up to that point, and a lot of the developers had been working on Motorola 68000 and other systems where they were used to programming in assembly. So now they're programming in C, which is different. We think it's nicer now, but if you were an old hat assembly programmer, you probably didn't like that you lost a lot of control. And just how it ends up being... Ooh. We're going to run into a little issue here. So I'll tell you what I'm concerned about in just a second. Let's look to see what is immediately after this. So Bloody Zombie we have finished already. The dot means that it's coming from the C file and that it's been decompiled already. And we have all the data for Bloody Zombie, and I'm pretty sure that's just sharing other Bloody Zombie code. So I will say the one thing about how Symphony is written, it is written very different from how a game would be made now. And the biggest concern and the thing that makes it hard for modding and other things is that the logic and graphics and everything like that are all kind of baked into code. And so if you want to replace a sprite, for example, or an animation, the animation logic lives right next to, like, what attack am I going to choose next, or how does the hitbox change for a sword coming down. And so when you have those two things so tightly combined, you basically have to rewrite the code to change enemy behavior or how certain things work in the game. Okay, so here's my concern and what I was worried about. We have this unused data at the end. The PSP compiler, MetroWorks, will look at this unused data and will say, hey, nothing's using it. I'm not even going to include it in the final output. GCC doesn't do that. GCC is used on the PlayStation. GCC does it now, but the 1995 version of GCC used for this did not do it at the time. And so if this was actually in there, so that means the Marionette version in Marble Gallery has this data, but we don't have it in this version. Let's confirm that by looking at, we're going to go to the disassembly for NOO data eMarionette. Yeah, we have this extra data at the end here, which is not referenced, and ours doesn't have that. That's not a huge deal, just something to be aware of. All right, so we have all this data mapped. What I think I can do now is open the Marionette file, and we're gonna copy all this data in except for the unused stuff. I'm going to, and I'll tell you why in a second. Don't need the extern definition yet. Okay, so we're gonna make this, if we're compiling not I think this is the macro BO0. We're going to include, otherwise we're not. Just going to confirm that macro name, boss is BO0. Yeah. So if we're doing BO0, yes, that probably is why when you try to change the location, if you're changing the location of an enemy or making him spawn in a new area of the same stage that that enemy exists in, that should be straightforward. The issue is if you want to move that enemy. Now that we have everything decompiled, it's actually much easier to include enemies in stages that they weren't previously in. But prior to that, I mean, it would definitely be possible, but it's practically infeasible. I don't know that all this data is the same, which could cause issues. I want to hear, but we're gonna try. We're gonna assume that it's the same, and if this fails, then we know it won't. So good for us. The data is the same. So we have all the data coming from the Marionette C file now, which is good. And so we have our include ASM down here. I think we should be able to include that now as well. We already have Slinger. Oh, we did have one other issue I'm going to go back over and look at. So sometimes this happens, and we could try to figure out beforehand. Might be worth doing. Maybe not. 409. It actually doesn't show up. So this is a little difficult to read because this is falling off. Here in the original, we have Eonit Slinger. Down here, we're adding 16. This seems to only be happening in the PSP version. So I'm going to make this PSP specific. And here, like the other one, I think we're going to make this just a array access. See if that works. So we're getting the wrong register when we do that. Let's try this. And that looks like it gives us the right register. Did I do sprites NO? If I added a symbol for this. Oh, drat. I may have screwed up. Let's make... Okay, I do have that symbol. All right, so we should be able to... access this. I'm gonna check it one more time with the PSP version. Okay, still looking good for the PSP version. I'm gonna go back and make one more change here. I don't like that this is being pulled into a variable first. We're gonna see if that has to be done that way. It's possible that it does. 99-ish% of the PSP version is the same. We just have little tweaks here and there. Oh, hey, Chronic. I don't know what happened to the stream yesterday, so I tried to stream over Ethernet, but something had happened with my network config for my Ethernet port. And so that wasn't working. It wasn't resolving anything. And I don't know if I have a couple access points in the house, and it seemed like my... Yeah, we can't do that. Okay, we have to leave it like this. It seemed like my computer might have been connecting to one further away. And whatever the case, it didn't work. Let's try this. Let's move this out. See if this works over here too. This is a little cleaner, I think. Nope. Yeah, in a way it was a hardware failure, but not exactly just a computer. So if I can't get it done in two attempts, then I guess I'd give up. All right, so this all seems to be fine. Let's try pulling this in and see if it still matches. So these include ASM. If you haven't seen the stream before, we use include ASM to pull in code that came directly from the game disk until we rewrite it ourselves in C. Okay, so we have a couple things. These need to be extern. And that is green, so that works here. I'm just checking. I have these all this one's okay. So now we need to see if this is going to work in the PSP. There's a couple things I want to check on the PSP version as well. The PSP, I often am a little more, I guess, shoot from the hip about, because usually it works. If the code is working, usually everything else works. And yeah, I don't always do the PlayStation and PSP versions at the same time, but the PSP code is compiled with a different compiler and without optimization turned on, and so often that allows us to solve things a little more quickly. The code is a little more obvious as to what is happening. So I don't have data yet. So I have nothing. Big splat PSPEU. I just want to see if we'll split the other way. See if I've mapped that data yet. I don't have the data yet, so it comes after life up, before red door. So because this is sandwiched right in there, all of this data should be marionette. And what I want to see here is, do we have the extra data after? And does this look like the data from the other? So we have sign 16, so every word is a thing. So this is 28, which is the first value, and I'm assuming this is negative 28. And then 8, yes. So that starts out the same way. And we don't have the missing data at the end, so I think that should be fine there. The one thing that we don't have is sprites N008, so we need to go find that. Let's go find that symbol. Oops. Using vim commands in decomp.me never works. So we need to see where sprites N008 is. This is the wrong name for this symbol. It's going to be a little bit of work to rename it properly. This sometimes sprites are pulled out with an automated system, and so we need a way to have that be unique per overlay. And so we can't call it sprites NO0 because it's also being used in BO0. And we can do that with a define. That's probably the right way to go. Let's see if there's any other symbols that I need here. We'll need this open too. I'm going to sweep this place. So the anims are all going to come from the data that we import, so I don't think that that's necessary. Yeah, that's speedrunning randomizers is actually how I got into this project. I caught Dragon Blitz streams many years ago and was looking for a project to work on and thought, I wonder if Soten has a decomp project. I was happy to find that there was one, and it was in its pretty early stages. It had been going on for a couple years at that point, but they set up fantastic tooling, and wonderful documentation, and it just was very easy to contribute to. And so my first patch was a tooling patch. We have an error here. It looks like something early on, like a syntax error early on. Oh, duh. I took the wrong version of this file. A lot of errors for not a lot of substance. Okay, so we need a couple things. Sprites N008. Why didn't we get that? I have the wrong address. So it looks like we have that mapped already to something else. I'm looking at the wrong version. So I get the address from the name here. So yeah, my first contribution came because I was interested in the project. I did some disassembly and other things like that for the Sega CD prior to this, and was familiar with MIPS, but hadn't done anything really with it since college. And there we go. This is where we're going. And I still need Unit Slinger. The way that I rip my games is into single bin queues, and the tool that was written to extract data from your own disk image was written to only use multiple file bin queues, so multiple bins for one queue. And I didn't want to have to re-rip my disk or split my bins, because that's not the way I like to do it. So I wrote a patch for that and found everybody to be friendly and welcoming. Ooh. Okay, so we have a difference here. It's a difference that I expect, but a difference nonetheless. So what this is saying is we have Slinger, Unit Slinger, at 450 or 410 here, but the PSP thinks that it's Marionette, and that's what I would expect it to be. A single R. Let's get rid of our Slinger, and we'll have to go up to the top and see if that's the case there too. Oh, I can't type. So our other Slinger reference is up here on line 78. And it is different. Okay. Do I have this in place? I don't have this one yet. It didn't work. Okay, so why didn't it work? I have a tool that hopefully will tell us. Oh, good. It's actually reasonably simple. So at offset 5560, which we'll be able to find in the original assembly file, we have this line, or this instruction. If it's instructions, they're 4 at a time. And our instruction is OC versus 06. So we have to go find what that offset is in the file, and then figure out what that might be. And we can look in this list. It is the C file, so that's good. So it's going to be part of entity marionette. And this might be something that we could have found earlier. And where was our issue? 5560. And it is... Oh, this load is wrong. The load that I'm doing is 06. And, yeah. The mistake is going to be here, it's just getting cut off. There's our 06 when it should be OC. Sorry, ours is OC. It should be 06. So we have to do what? How far? 0. Be 0. So let's confirm that. I'm glad that's all it was. It's actually a pretty easy change if I can find the right file. And actually a pretty nice change as well, because these two versions end up being the same. And that matches good. So we can close out all these. We don't need this anymore. So we're going to have 2 files now. One for the PlayStation and one for the PSP. And they're going to be fairly different. So the first thing is now both of these lines are the same, or can be the same. Let's do a diff on PlayStation's going to be on the left. Do bin diff. And PSP on the right. And what we want to do is get these to be exactly the same file. And in this case, this is actually already a PSP exclusive change. It's already if-deffed. So we can just take that line from the PSP version. That's great. So now we have one other issue that we have to deal with. Oh, I didn't switch screens. I'm sorry. I'm gonna undo. Oh, I can't. No, I don't really want to write it. Okay, so we have there was a small change between them. I fixed it, and the change actually was this down here. I had, sorry, you can't read that because yellow is terrible. I had Slinger up here. But this isn't getting compiled because this is the PlayStation version, so it didn't cause any errors. It should have been Marionette. Now the PlayStation and the PSP versions of these files are the same, and we can confirm that again with the diff. I'll just run regular diff so it doesn't take over everything. And no difference between the two. So because there's no difference between the two, now we can use the same file. There is one other issue, but we'll deal with it in a second. Close all these up. I just need the splat config for. I need the splat config for the PSP. So right now, this E marionette line here is going to the PSP specific version of this C file, but we want it to use the one that's shared with the PlayStation. So we're just going to get rid of two directories. One is BO0, the other is BO0 PSP. And what we want to do is get rid of as many files, hopefully all the files, from BO0 PSP and only have a BO0 directory. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to get rid of the PSP version of eMarionette. Hey Eldritch, good to have you back, as always. I watched Dragon Blitz's video about the health of the randomizer, sorry, not randomizer scene, the tournament scene. Any thoughts? You want to share? When I was watching that video, one of the things that I thought was interesting, or could be interesting possibly, is the idea of adding ghosts of the other players. Oh yeah, I guess that's true. I didn't know that there was prize pools. I thought it was for fun. I guess it is fun when prize pools are involved. That was news to me. I thought the idea though of ghosts could be interesting, because then you can get knowledge from other players, not necessarily like in stream sniping mode. Like, I know that they're that they took this route and now they have this thing, but if I'm in the same area, I may see what route they're taking, but maybe that only affects really the starting position, and it would be rare to see. Possibly inventory though as well, like if you could see other people's inventory along the way. I don't know if any of that would actually help, because I'm not in that scene at all. Those were the first things that came to mind though. Alright, so we've gotten rid of the PSP entries there. So now the linker script will be updated and it'll use the PlayStation version. And then just to confirm that that's the case, I do a git rm. This is the hardest part, because this will destroy this file. And if I do it wrong, well, I should have taken a snapshot beforehand, but I'm not going to, because I know that it's the same file as the PSP version of the file. And then to make it even more final, I'm going to get rid of all the build artifacts for that. And we'll just get rid of everything from PSP EU that has eMarionette in the name. First look for all those. So all those .o files we'll get rid of. And then we'll build it again. And that works. So now we're sharing Marionette between the two versions of Olrox. I don't know if Eldritch knows or not. He knows so many internals of this game that I wouldn't be surprised if he does, but Marionette exists in the Olrox boss fight. Marionette is not even in Olrox quarters as far as I'm aware, but it is in the boss fight. So the next thing is I look at the clock and see if I have time to do this next part. We don't want two versions of the marionette, especially when they're almost identical. We only want one version of the marionette if possible. So I'm going to go to NO0. Yeah. Is Owl Knight in the... Is there Owl Knight enemies in Aurochs Quarters? I know the code is. Yeah, I found that too. There's a bunch that I was naming things in the past couple days, and there was a bunch of stuff that I couldn't find functions that they actually trigger, and I can get breakpoints to load on them, but I can't figure out what they are and what they're doing. There's nothing obvious to me graphically that they do, but like I found the background when you're in any of the outdoor areas. There's a specific function for coloring the background, and the layered background, like in the long library, there's a specific function for that as well. But there's several others that I just could not tell what they were doing. So we're going to do the same diff thing with between the BO0 boss marionette and the NOO marionette, and see where the differences are. And actually this shouldn't be too bad. I can rename variables here because they're not referenced anywhere else and I don't have to worry about them. And what we're going to try to do is get the BO version of this, BOO version, the Aurochs version of the marionette, to be exactly the same. I'm doing this backwards. So I'm just renaming these variables to get them to match. And so we're trying to slowly... Oh, that's terrible looking. These ended up being the same. So what I'm going to do is just build while I made those few changes, make sure that the build still is clean. And then we're going to keep going on. So this is if defined version PSP and not defined, I know this is unreadable, boss is BOO. We're going to do this, otherwise we're going to do this. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. So we're going to have to wrap this. If not defined, boss is BOO. I don't like how macro nesting works, or how these are defined, but not my choice. So let's make sure that works. So that was the NOO version. And we'll try this one here. And that works fine too. It's lovely that I can't read any of these. This is data pointer 11, and I think this is plus 11. I think it's just semantics. And so we have to do this again. So this is if the version is PSP, or not BO0. And that works as well. So the only thing I'll move these up to the top since that's where they are in the original. They're actually not in this file in the original. I'm going to put them in there because I like having these defines. Where's my... I like having the defines in the entity. And so the last one is just this. All right, so what's missing is this sprites array, and I don't want to leave it like this because when those sprites get pulled out by the assets tool, this isn't going to have the same name. It's going to have a BO0 name instead of an NO0 name. So I'm going to write this if def stage is NO0. We're gonna name this sprites, and right now it's gonna be the same name because I don't have a name yet for the BO0 version of this. And everywhere that there is a sprites NO0, I'm gonna replace that with the sprites macro. And then I'll move this over. We'll do the same thing there. And this gives me the ability then, right now I have that symbol defined, but it gives me the ability to switch that when BO0 gets the new symbol name. All right, so I think that's good. And why am I doing all this? Seems like a lot of work for what? Because I want to share this file. So I have everything I need to do that. We're gonna get out of vimdiff, load this up. So we're gonna make a new file in the stage root directory called marionette.h, and it's going to include all of this because we know it's the same except for the header that's being included. Now instead of all that code being here, we're just going to include it. We can't share files between different stages. We can't share the same C file. I would like it if we could, but we can't at the moment. So we should be able to build here, and that should be fine. And then we're going to do the same thing. So this is the mechanism that we've come up with to be able to reduce the amount of code between different versions of the game. And that works too. So now I need to remember, always need to remember to git add that marionette. But we have one code, and they're all shared. All right, that's all I got. for today. I'm glad I got the marionette stuff done. There's about 11 or 12, maybe 13 functions that were just duplicates between NO2 and Olrox, code that's not using Olrox. I'm trying to clean all that out, and then we can focus on just the unique stuff for Olrox, and so hopefully by next week we'll get to that. As I said, and as was brought up earlier this week, wouldn't it be cool if we could be done with the castles before Belmont's Curse? Maybe we can. So after I'm satisfied with where Olrox is, I think that's what we'll do. If we look at the GitHub progress, which is a little more accurate than what's on Zynomo's page, we'll see that we have a bunch of work still to do in the reverse castle, and I'll probably spend a couple weeks deduping all that, leaving us with just the unique code left, and then basically we'll have bosses and unique things for the reverse castle. But I think from a project perspective, that'll make this look like we are as far along as we actually are. Go to something.z.dev to learn more about the Decomp project, and I'll be back next week with more Decomp. Adios. Thanks everybody for joining. Appreciate you all.